I just want to be clear about what's going on here. The system that makes sure that your granddad gets his Social Security check, the system that makes sure that your mom's doctor gets Medicare payment to cover her medical appointment, and the system that makes sure that you get the tax refund that you're owed has been taken over by Elon Musk. And every organization from your state government that uses federal money on that bridge project to the local Head Start that takes care of little kids while their mommies and daddies go to work is now at the mercy of Elon Musk. Elon just grabbed the controls of our whole payment system, demanding the power to turn it on for his friends or turn it off for anyone he doesn't like. Now, there's a second problem here. It's not just payments from the federal government that are now in Elon's control. Elon and his handful of friends now have full access to your personal and financial information that's in the system. Your payment history, your Social Security number, your bank account numbers. Elon now has the power to suck out all of that information for his own use. And there is a third problem. In order for this handful of programmers to gain access to our $6 trillion payment system, we don't know what safeguards were pulled down. Are the gates wide open now for hackers from China, from North Korea, from Iran, from Russia? Heck, who knows what black hat hackers all around the world are finding out about each one of us and copying that information for their own criminal uses. Donald Trump and his billionaire buddies are determined to take over this government to make it work better for themselves and worse for everyone else. And this is just the start. As we gear up for the tax fight, it will become even clearer that Trump will open the doors for his billionaires and giant corporations to find more ways to loot the government at your expense. Meanwhile, everyone else pays more for groceries, more for housing, more for prescription drugs, and more for health care. When unelected billionaires start ransacking our government offices, this is not business as usual. Nope, nothing is normal. We are living a nightmare created by Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and we need to wake up. We need to use every tool we have to fight back.
Elon told Trump, step back, hold my beer, watch this. See, here's the thing, right? The government has always been controlled by, large institutions and billionaires from day one. But the only difference now is they're showing you and they're telling you that it's controlled by billionaires and larger corporations, which they've always voted in the favor of the money, right? Just follow the money. And let me just say this also. Anybody that is on, let's just say, the lower economic part of the economy that voted for these guys really aren't that smart because it is against their own interests, okay? What this administration will do, the impact will be good for people that are in the top, let's just say 10% of America. Everybody else, will lose out, right? The cutting of social programs or the cutting back of social programs. I saw something today where they're trying to limit Section 8 housing to 2 years. You can only be on it for 2 years. And after that, it's like you by that in 2 years, you should be able to figure out what it is you want to do with yourself or, pick up a skill or, and even, some form of income, right? And a lot of people think that it's black versus white when really the bottom or the people that use the most government assistance is white people, obviously, right? Because there's more white people than there are black people. And, with the whole DEI thing, black people think it's a shot at them and it's not. It's actually deeper than that. With the removal or, them trying to abolish the IRS and, shrink the government as a whole, there are a lot of people that really depend on income tax refunds. Now, tax refunds essentially are the overpayment to the federal government, right? But then there's a certain subset of people that really don't make a lot of money and then they're able to stack tax credits. Like I see people, especially on Instagram, it's crazy. People that really don't have any, like a real high income, getting more in income tax refunds than actual income that they have, right? it's like a legal finesse through the system that you can use through stacking different tax credits and doing a whole bunch of write-offs, right? Now, if they do abolish the IRS, what happens is, you get all of your money up front, which means you have to manage your money better. I know a lot of people really, really wait for income tax season to get those big checks, to pay off credit cards, debt, to buy cars, to go, shopping, whatever it is. And it sounds like that a lot of that stuff is coming to an end, unfortunately. So people will have to, be more responsible with the extra money that they get on their paycheck. Now, depending on what state you live in, of course, you're going to have state taxes, right? But here's the other thing. If they remove the tax revenue, then there's going to have to be another revenue that replaces that, right? So, for example, in Florida, there's no income tax, or in Texas, there's no income tax. However, the property taxes are higher. That's one of the main revenue sources, right? So, you know, they may create some other avenue. Donald Trump mentioned tariffs, but some other avenue may be created for the government to pull in more money. And I talk about this all the time. One thing she said was right, is that, okay, the price of groceries is going up, the price of housing is going to go up, and it is, right? It's all, there's always a cause and effect with anything, especially with the federal government, and anything in life, right? Let's just say, for example, I have a house and I'm in a $400,000 neighborhood, right? And I improved the home, and then I put it on the market, and let's just say we had low interest rates, and I sold my house for 475, 500,000, right? All I'm doing is just selling my house, but the indirect impact of that is, well, now that increases the values, right? You're gonna have somebody else gonna pop up. Oh, let me see if I can get 500, right? So now that increases the property tax, right? Because the value of the homes are going up, so that indirectly affects everybody else in the neighborhood, right? Just because I pulled one move and then somebody came behind me, and now the entire neighborhood, the values have gone up, and now when you have an increase in value of real estate, your property taxes also rise. Okay, so and this is just an example, right? But these guys, essentially, she's right, and can you be mad at them, right? Think about it. If you could just pull up and just like, man, let me just take over the government real quick. And, you get rid of taxes. So, you're a billionaire. You don't have to pay any taxes, and, these football players, like, these people that own football teams, and, these really wealthy people just don't have to pay taxes anymore. Most of them are going to support that. The majority of them are. Who wouldn't want to, I support it too. Like, I don't want to keep sending the federal government money. But at the same time, what is the effect of that, right? Like, what happens? What's the domino effect? And I see everything else they're doing. They're getting rid of entire agencies like USAID to be able to maybe fill that void of where taxes were supposed to be, by reducing overall government spending, especially wasteful spending, right? And one thing is kind of weird to me. They haven't gone to the Pentagon. The Pentagon wastes more money than anybody. I used to work in the defense industry. I was an accountant, right? And we used to have these conferences where generals from the Pentagon would come and see, these young kids, or, these companies that would put together these different technologies. That was my first time seeing, like, in my face, like, military robots, right? This was a long time ago. I'm 37 now. I may have been in my middle 20s, or early 20s when I first saw this, when they had these robots and stuff that were designed to kill. And the generals would walk through this hallway of all these presentations, and they just go, oh yeah, we want that, and just pulling out the checkbook. Let me buy that, let me buy that, let me buy that, right? And even if they don't even use the technology, they have it, right? They may put it in the warehouse somewhere, and they own the patents and the copyrights to it. And it's kind of odd that maybe they just haven't gotten to it yet, right? But, it's definitely an interesting time. And, a lot of people, especially the people that depend on income tax refunds, really aren't going to like this. Now, I don't know if, this tax season is off, or if it's over, but if they abolish the IRS, like I said, it's going to be good for some, but the majority is not going to be good for. We're going to see, like she said, certain, it's going to fall back on the states. It's going to fall back on the states to fund certain programs, and some states may not have the revenue, or may be in a deficit and can't do it, right? So this is one of those things where it's about to be all on the people, literally, right? It's the people for the longest time wanted power, right? So that power is going to start with you, your skill set, your money management, your way to generate income. Um, and for anybody that works for the federal government, especially on this channel, I've already said from day one, I would never get another job. I can't trust any employer out here on the planet. I've been fired. I got fired on my day off. Okay. I was supposed to have a day off. They called me. I normally get to work like 8:30, 8:45, and they called me at like 7. Hey, can you come to work? I'm like, it's my day off. And they're like, still, you come to work? And I got there, my shit was packed up. And they like, yeah, give us our Amex back. You're fucking fired. So, in situations like that, that's why I learned, I can never go back because, I had just bought a house, I got 2 Porsches, like, you know what I mean? Like I had bills. Although the smart thing I did was I started a video production business while I was working. So, once I lost that job, I was able to focus on that full time and like quadruple the amount of money that I was making at that, working for that institution. But not everybody is built like that, or not everybody is prepared for something like that, right? So you have a lot of these federal workers that are just, you know, getting handed resignations, or they're closing down these agencies, and they weren't expecting that because people get comfortable. That's one thing you cannot do, is get comfortable in any situation. I see a lot of people, they write in, the comments, and here and on the community section, they always say, man, you be hustling hard, you be hustling like I don't know what, you doing the real estate thing, you got the YouTube thing, you doing this, you doing that. I have to. Because I learned my lesson. Although, YouTube is all good, fine and dandy, but they own this platform. So at any point, they can cut the lights off, right? On the platform, for any creator they want to. We've already seen that. But the smart ones have multiple streams. Like I talked about previously, there's 18 streams of income through YouTube. And, them shutting the lights off on one and you're dependent on that one, well, that can end a lot for you, right? So you got to be smart. And it's the same way for the federal government. People look at income taxes as a stream of income. They get a large check. I've seen people online getting like 30, 40, $50,000 tax refunds. And I'm like, damn, like, what are y'all doing? I don't know if it's illegal what they doing, or, if they, it's owed to them, right? But, you really can't depend on that, especially now. These guys doing what they want, and they don't care because they got all the money in the world. Elon got all the money in the world. It doesn't matter how you feel. He's literally can do what he wants. He's the number one human on the planet that can do whatever he wants with no recourse. He owns what, 70% of the satellites in the sky. He can cut everybody's cell phone off just like that. He can find anyone he wants on the planet. Global positioning satellites. We all have cell phones, so we can easily be located. And there's like a whole thing, and I'm gonna do a video on it. The whole thing with Elon, a lot of people like him because, they're able to make money off Tesla and soon off SpaceX and all that. But there's a gift and a curse in the entire thing, right? Pretty soon we're all gonna have electric cars. There's a problem with that. If they need you, guess what they're gonna do? When you're driving your car and you think you're about to have a good day, they're gonna lock your doors, and now they can take control of your car, and they can drive you to the local police station where they will arrest you for whatever it is that they need you for, right? So, these are things that, future implications. I'm gonna do a totally separate video on that because, like I said, Elon is cool, but at the same time, he doesn't care about anyone but himself. I promise you that. They all do, right? But at the same time, he's a dangerous guy. He is, with that much money and the way he's moving. You hear the stories about, oh yeah, all of these billionaires are evil, and not all of them are. There are some that, do real philanthropy out here in the world. But then there's guys like this where it's like, yeah, we love his business moves and his innovation and his mind, but there are some things that he does and that he's going to do that is really going to hurt a lot of people, really, and and a lot of people really aren't prepared for it. So at the end of the day, hopefully everybody gets their income tax refunds, and if they abolish the IRS, you get more money on your paycheck. It just means you got to manage your money better, and hopefully the price of groceries and stuff doesn't go up drastically, and hopefully real estate doesn't get too crazy. Although I think it will, especially if the mortgage rates come down, but the good thing is you'll have more money on your check. So are you all for the federal government getting rid of the IRS? Let me know. But either way, let's get fucking rich.